integration started around 1968. Kids started leaving Lincoln, going to GHS.
And PK.
Nobody was coming to our school, but we were leaving the black schools, going to the white schools to integrate them. But as far as people of other color coming to Lincoln, in my historical account, that did not happen. When Lincoln High School closed in 1970, it was still an African American high school.
School itself was not integrated.
Not at all.
Now I understand.
We integrated
Other
Gainesville.
schools.
Yeah.
But let me give you just a little bit about public education in the 60s. My husband was a 1960 graduate and I was a 1964 graduate. And during that time, as an African American school, as far as the academics are concerned and the sports, Lincoln High School was one of the soaring schools in the state of Florida. In the arts, our chorus and our band ranked way up in rank in the state of Florida. And what was unique about this is that when I would open my books, in the front of them would say Gainesville High School, which means we did not get brand new books. We got GHS leftover books. When they got new books, we got their old ones. But I want to say all of this to say materials and supplies sometimes don't make you successful. It's the kind of leadership, love, and purpose-driven teachers that support you in being anchored and making sure that you are grounded and you're going to be somebody. That's what made Lincoln High School a great school. And can I say this, and I want it to go on the record? When I was in high school, I did not know anybody who could not read. In what we called then our special education classes, those kids could read. Everybody could read. And so when we came into the 70s and 80s and so on, when we started running across kids who could not read, I just could not believe it, because the school that I graduated from, everyone could read. And we did well because not only did we have people on a college track, we had people on tracks as far as trades and businesses and things like that were concerned. We had a cosmetology department. We had industrial arts.
Right.
We
Dewey
had,
Roberts.
yes, we had what we call DCT, where the kids left midday and went into Gainesville to job training areas. When they graduated, they had certificates that would lead them to a job and a purpose. And we just was an all-around school that when kids graduated from high school, they had a place to go where they could be successful. Some went to college, some went to vo-tech education, some went right to the work field. My classmate, Curtis Phillips, he was one of the founding people of Winn-Dixie in Alachua County. He started at Winn-Dixie as just the guy who goes out to get the buggies and take them in. Then he became supervisor of the meat department, and he went on up in the ranks. And it all started because of the training he got at Lincoln High School. He left there with a vision and a purpose of what he was going to do to be a contributing person to our society. So if we could pick up some of those qualities in these new schools who have almost anything you can ask for, but they are not reaching all kids. We are of the mindset that maybe to be successful, you got to go to college. So that's what we put a lot of emphasis on. That's what our scholarships are given to. Our scholarships are given to the kids going to college. And why can't we give someone a scholarship to go to barber school and those kind of things, because those are successful uh, job opportunities. So those are the great things I would like to say about the school, Lincoln High School, from the 1960s uh, up to the 1970s.
I would concur with everything that Angie has said, and I'd also like to take it a little bit further down. Uh,
Yes,
it actually starts in elementary schools, uh,
yes, it
and
does.
and it also starts in the community. The fact that we had these schools, the foundation of Lincoln High School was based on the community, and it was based on legacy. Uh, my mom taught second grade. I went to Duval Elementary School, and we
Elementary.
all look forward to going to Lincoln. That was the next thing. So the teachers, as Angie said, the teachers cared, and because the teachers cared, they made sure that no matter where you were in your education level or your so my mom taught three generations. She taught the parent, she taught the child, and she taught night school and taught adults in the community that could not read. So not only were we concerned about the children not reading, we wanted all the adults that didn't get a chance back in that early first 50 years before, didn't get a chance to get educated. We wanted to make sure that that community, that those people had also a chance to learn how to read. So I think one of the common things that made Lincoln High School good was the fact that it was community based, that it was based with people that went where the need was rather than having a system that was built not on the needs of the people but on a goal of society. We went where the people need, where our kids needed to be. We knew that all the kids weren't going to go to college, so we had an avenue for them. Even up into the 70s, I have many of my friends that went into the service based on what they learned. The the late 70s was when we start moving away from our Botech schools. We had auto mechanics, we had carpentry, we had home economics, we had all the things that would allow, and as Angie said, we had a work study program. Uh, Many of my friends learned how to work in restaurants. They would go to school and then they would go and work in restaurants uh, during half of the day and come back. So we met the need where we met the kids where the kids were, and I think that that's something that's missing right now. Right now, it's almost like we built the system and you have to fit into that system. But before with Lincoln, we were able to customize based on the kids' needs. Also, even from the counseling standpoint, we're looking at the individual kid and being able to come up with a career path for that personal kid. We had counselors that cared and counselors that were able to look at your individual need of that individual kid and make sure that that person succeeded.
That's so neat to hear.
And I could give you a very good example. Like,
Please.
I got a chance to go to one of the greatest HBCUs in the United States. I had no idea about what Hampton University was. No idea. But my choral teacher and my music teacher, Miss Geraldine Miller, and my counselor, Miss Daphne Duval Williams, they had gone to Hampton and they saw something in me that thought that I would be a good product for that university. And they talked with my parents and they groomed me for it. And my choral teacher made sure that I had a diverse education. My mom made sure I had private lessons. I knew how to read music and all of these kind of things to be ready and prepped to go to Hampton University located in a place I'd never even thought of going, which is in Virginia. So they reached out to kids and did these kinds of things.
Right. And my mom did the same thing with the Spence
That's
family.
right.
And and with that, the great success. We had three
Great
girls
success.
that ended up going and becoming teachers and becoming doctors.
That's, yeah,
And because the families might not have understood the path, but there were Blacks that understood the path, and they took these people under their wings and
yes.
showed
And
them
mentored
how
them.
they
Yeah.
and mentored them and showed them
Mhm.
how they could succeed. And again, it's based on that foundation of caring. And you know, I've worked in the school system for the last 8 years, and just I have been really disappointed with our public school system. And if I can find one common denominator that I see missing, is the understanding of the being able to make the connection between the teacher, especially at the elementary level, between the teacher and the kid, and the teacher, the kid, and the parent. Uh, there's a big disconnect in our East Side schools with the ability of the teachers that we have there now being able to connect with the parents and the community. And that's not real good. And it's hurting our reading. It's hurting our ability of our children to not drop out of school, our Black children. So in my opinion, we have more technology, but we have
Yeah,
less connection.
that's right. That's right.
Well, first of all, I was on a college track at Lincoln. I was um, basically taking courses that would allow me to go into college. I didn't have very many. I had some basic tech. I took carpentry and things like that, but I was on. I had taken the highest level of math that they had at Lincoln from Mr. Hightower. I had basically taken the highest level of science, which was our chemistry classes. Uh, so we were looking forward to graduation at Lincoln High School. Well, Alachua County should have been working on integration, but our superintendent, Tiny Talbert, was fighting against integration of our schools, and the Northwest didn't want it. The Northwest section of Gainesville didn't want it, and frankly, the East sections, we weren't real crazy about it either. So Alachua County delayed for a long time its integration requirement. And I think what really pushed it in the middle of they 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 started talking about it before school opened in June, uh, but it was such resistance in the community that it kept being delayed. And and finally, I think what happened is the state and the federal government um, said that they were not going to give the school system money until it conformed to the integration. So in the middle of the year when we went, so we had many marches when they started talking about closing Lincoln. Uh, my class and the all the Lincoln by the Lincoln was seventh grade through 12th grade. So that that was Lincoln High School, 7 to 12. March down University Avenue around, letting the community know that we did not want our school closed. We marched to the school district. At that time, it was the Manning Building and we marched downtown. We marched to the university, and finally, when we went home for Christmas, they basically closed the school. We
Yeah.
had some real confrontations at the school that when they were telling us that we couldn't come back. Um, so there was big demonstrations, big marches. The community came out. All was not in favor of closing the school because the school was not just an academic building; it was a community center. There was our parents had graduated from there. That as Angie said, it was a hub for not only Gainesville but for Florida in general, because we had some of the best bands, we had some of the best football teams, and it was because one of the things that we had was it was not just Gainesville, it was all the rural areas. So we pull from Hawthorne, we pull from Alachua, we pull from Archer,
Micanopy.
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 So we had all of the best Black talents in the county. So what happened during integration, they split all that up, and when you dilute talent, you dilute power, and we got diluted a lot, and it killed that spirit. So when we went over to I'm going to speak from my experience at Gainesville High. It wasn't good. So that was the students' perspective. So what happens to our teachers? Well, our teachers got diluted also. Our coaches now they became at Gainesville High.
Assistant coaches.
They
Assistant
became
coaches.
assistant coaches, and they became dean. They became they didn't call them deans. They call them they were they were people that knew how to keep us in order. So they became our monitors. Um, the people at Gainesville High had their Confederate flags. They didn't necessarily want us there, and we didn't want to be there. And the teachers that were there at Gainesville High didn't necessarily want us there because it was disturbing their class. You can imagine you have your class all planned, and then and because we didn't go back in January, we went back in February, so we lost some time. They had to get it in order. So we're supposed to go back in January after Christmas. I think we didn't go back until February, like the 1st of February. So the teachers now had to come up with a lesson plan, and they had to integrate all this into a confused system. There were many fights on campus after in the parking lots. So when I went off to college, I told people I had no senior year. I basically, the first part of the school was fighting to keep Lincoln, and then the next part of the year was fighting because you were moved. So my whole senior year was no learning. I didn't learn I didn't learn anything in my 12th grade year. It was just uh, it was just emotion the whole year. So when I went off to college, I went off to Howard University that fall, and then in Washington D.C. But I had to really work hard in college and then I left Howard and went to Kansas State University where I graduated. So I had to really work hard in order to get the background that I needed to succeed in engineering school. But again, understanding that I had to fight, that we never had everything we needed. We always had to basically make up. So it wasn't new for me. I always knew that I had to work hard, and that ethics of having to work hard and do whatever it takes allowed me to accomplish anything I wanted to. It wasn't a matter of what I had to work with. It was a matter of taking whatever I had and making it go. And I think that was the philosophy that Black people had from slavery on. We never had the resources, but whatever resources we had, we made it work. And that was the philosophy from which I worked from. We never really had the background, but we had the desire.
I can tell you a little story. Mr. Aquin Jones, whom was the principal of Lincoln High School, they would have principal meetings at Kirby Smith or wherever the main, and it was Kirby Smith. He would not be allowed to go into the meeting. He would be at the window. He would be at the window.
I want to say this also. The senior class of 1970 elected to be the last diploma class of Lincoln High School. So all of
That's
us
right.
got our diplomas from Lincoln High School. And
I remember that.
we elected to make sure that all of us that was at Lincoln High School had Lincoln High School diplomas. I
Ronnie,
have mine. I have my Lincoln High School diploma.